Hello friends, welcome to tutorial in English literature. In the last video, I told you the synopsis of the plot of Shakespeare's Macbeth. Today, I shall describe briefly the characters and their role in the play. But before I begin, I want to ask a question. Can you tell me which of the following movies is an adaptation of Macbeth? I shall tell you the answer at the end of the lesson. Let's begin our discussion with the most mysterious characters of the play, the three witches. The play leaves the true identity of the witches unclear. Aside from the fact that they are servants of Hecate, we know little about their place in the cosmos. They plot mischief against Macbeth using charms, spells, and prophecies. Their predictions prompt him to murder Duncan, to order the deaths of Bangko and his son, destroy Magda's family, and to blindly believe in his own invincibility. The witches' knowledge of future events clearly indicates that they have supernatural powers, and they also clearly enjoy using those powers to cause havoc and mayhem among mankind. But it is important to realize that the witches never compel anyone to do anything. Instead, they tell half truths to lure, to tempt men into giving their own dark desires. It is left to Macbeth whether Macbeth would kill Duncan to become King of Scotland or just sit back and do nothing. The next character I am going to discuss is Macbeth. Facts we learn about Macbeth at the start of the play are that he is the Thane of Glamis. He is a captain in King Duncan's army. He killed the rebel MacDonald in battle and helped King Duncan to achieve victory. He is made Thane of Cawdor by King Duncan for his bravery in battle. He is married to Lady Macbeth and they live in a castle in Inverness. So at the beginning of the play, Macbeth appears as one of the great noblemen of Scotland. He is valiant, loyal and honorable. But soon we realize that he is not a virtuous one. When three witches predict that he will one day be King of Scotland, he takes his fate into his own hands, allowing his ambition and that of his wife to overcome his better judgment. He is easily tempted into murder to fulfill his ambitions to the throne, and once he commits his first crime, he commits more crime with increasing ease. What is perhaps most interesting about Macbeth is that he senses the murder will lead to his own destruction even before he murders Duncan. Yet his ambition is so great that he still goes through with it. But unlike Iago in Shakespeare's Othello or Edmund in King Lear, Macbeth is not an explicitly malicious villain. Unlike them, he is unable to bear the pricks of conscience. The next character of our discussion is Lady Macbeth, who is wife of Macbeth. She is a deeply ambitious woman. Unlike her husband, she has no reservations, no hesitations about murdering Duncan in order to make Macbeth King of Scotland. She believes that a true man takes what he wants, and whenever Macbeth objects to murdering Duncan on moral grounds, she questions his courage. Lady Macbeth assumes that she will be able to murder Duncan and then quickly forget it once she is Queen of Scotland. But she discovers that guilt is not so easily avoided and falls into madness and despair. Early in the play, she seems to be the stronger and more ruthless than her husband. But as the bloodshed begins, her guilt soon turns her mad. Tormented by nightmares, she sleepwalks and tries to wash out the invisible bloodstains on her hands. She dies offstage in the final act. Bangko is another important character. Bangko is Thane of Lochaber. He is also known for his bravery, like his friend Macbeth. He has a son called Fleance. The Werid sisters predict that while Bangko will never be King of Scotland, but his descendants will one day sit on the throne. Bangko is as ambitious as Macbeth, but unlike Macbeth, Bangko does not act evil to fulfill these prophecies. He instead relies on his better judgment and morals. He resists putting his selfish ambition above his honor or the good of Scotland. Because he knows the prophecy and he is honorable, Bangko is both a threat to Macbeth. He is a living example of the noble path that Macbeth rejects. In a sense, Bangko's character stands as a rebuke to Macbeth. Appropriately, then it is Bangko's ghost and not Duncan's that haunts Macbeth. Then here comes another Scottish nobleman, Magda. He is the Thane of Fife. His wife is Lady Magda, and the two have babies and a young son. He visits Macbeth's castle in Inverness to meet with King Duncan and discovers the dead body of King Duncan. He is loyal to Duncan and does not go to Macbeth's coronation. He offers a contrast to Macbeth. Far from being ambitious, he puts the welfare of his motherland even ahead of the welfare of his own family. Macbeth suspects Macbeth from the very beginning and becomes one of the leaders of the rebellion to unseat the tyrant Macbeth and to place the rightful king Malcolm on the throne. Macbeth also desires vengeance for the murder of his wife and young son. Next character of our discussion is King Duncan. He is a well-liked and successful king. His army has just defeated the rebel MacDonald's forces and the Norwegian troops. He has two sons, Malcolm and Donalbain. He is a kindly and trusting older man. His unsuspecting nature leaves him open to Macbeth's betrayal. Duncan is the model of a good, virtuous king who puts the welfare of the country above his own good. He shows gratitude to those loyal to him through praise, land, and titles. Duncan is the living embodiment of the political and social order that Macbeth destroys. Now let's have a look at the two princes. Malcolm is the eldest son of King Duncan. Duncan selected him as the heir to the throne of Scotland and gave him the title of the Prince of Cumberland. As far as his character is concerned, early in the play, he is a weak and inexperienced leader, and he actually escapes from Scotland in fear after his father is murdered. But Malcolm matures as the play progresses, and with the help of Macduff and an English army, Malcolm eventually overthrows Macbeth and retakes the throne, restoring the order that was destroyed when Duncan was murdered. Donalbain, Malcolm's younger brother, has no important role in the play. He runs away to Ireland after Duncan's murder. Apart from Duncan's sons, there is also Banquo's young son, Fleance. Macbeth begins to fear him after hearing the witch's prophecy that one day Banquo's sons will be kings. Macbeth sends murderers to kill Fleance, but Fleance flees. At the end of the play, Fleance's whereabouts are unknown. Then here are some minor characters to discuss. The first one is Lady Magda, who is obviously Macduff's wife. She is a kind and motherly foil for Lady Macbeth's cruelty. Macbeth killed her along with her children after Macbeth flees Scotland. The scene in her castle provides us only a glimpse of peaceful domestic realm. She and her home serves as contrast to Lady Macbeth and the hellish world of Inverness. The second minor character is Roth, who is a Thane in Scotland and Macbeth's cousin. He is trusted by Duncan to deliver news about the battle. He is given the job of telling Macbeth about his new position as Thane of Cawdor. Roth eventually turns on Macbeth, choosing to side with Malcolm and the English forces. He visits Lady Macduff to tell her that Macduff has fled to England. Later, he delivers the news to Magda that his family have been murdered. He is part of the army that overthrows Macbeth. There are some other noblemen of Scotland like Lennox, Menteith, Angus, Caithness, all of whom eventually turn against the tyrannical Macbeth and join with Malcolm and the English forces in opposing Macbeth to save their motherland. This is the end of the discussion. Now let's go back to the question. The correct answer is option C, Makbul. In Makbul, the Scottish tragedy is set in contemporary underworld of present-day Mumbai. Two corrupt fortune-telling policemen take the roles of the wearied sisters, and Duncan is Abbaji, the head of a crime family. Abbaji's mistress and Makbul plot and carry out his death, the sea plays the role of Birnamut. In fact, the first three movies constitute Vishal Bharadwaj's trilogy of films based on William Shakespeare plays. Makbul is based on Macbeth, Omkara on Othello, and Haidar on Hamlet. By the way, Julfikar, directed by Srijit Mukherjee, is based on adaptation of two of Shakespeare's tragedies, Julius Caesar and Antony and Cleopatra.